Hello, hello. Good afternoon. Thanks for coming. I know it's been a long day and 3 days. So it's. Are you enjoying the conference so far? Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. So I'm Emily Jiang. I work for IBM. I purely work on open source. I work on standard, MicroProfile, Jakarta EE, and also I work on open source implementation, Jakarta EE and MicroProfile, Open Liberty. So I'm the cloud native architect and also the advocate. So which means love to just travel to conferences to basically discuss with you about the new technologies. So in this session, I'm going to spend the whole session talk about the latest and greatest MicroProfile. So hopefully after this session, you walk out of this room and you know everything about MicroProfile. Become a MicroProfile Pro group. So it's basically, who knows the MicroProfile? Oh, wow, great. Who are using MicroProfile? Wow, I love all of you. Great. So it's so hopefully I'll give you a deep demo, a deep dive, and also we tell you about the future of the MicroProfile as well. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time about the background. So one thing I want to emphasize is the MicroProfile is purely open. It's an open community. Welcome all of you join to collaborate and contribute ideas that we work together and for the great enterprise Java future. There's a lot of implementations, and earlier in this room, and talk about Quarkus. Actually, Quarkus is one of the MicroProfile implementation, and I work on Open Liberty, and also WebSphere Liberty is another one. Also Payara and Wildfly and Helidon from Oracle, and also Prana, and etc., and TomEE. So there's a lot of implementation to choose from. So the big difference between the MicroProfile and the Spring is that MicroProfile is standard. There's many implementations for you to choose from. Well, Spring, you only have a Spring Boot to do it. Also, it's a MicroProfile is fully backed for the industry by the industry leaders, IBM. So it's actually I represent IBM, work on MicroProfile and also Jakarta EE. IBM, Red Hat, also is Microsoft, Oracle, Tommy Choi, Payara, and a few JAGs, AJAG, IJAG, and Prampton from China. So it has a quite good working group members. So this is a busy chart about how fast MicroProfile has been progressed so far. Actually, if you do not know the history about MicroProfile, it's purely because Java EE was too slow, and eventually it came to a stop. And then MicroProfile basically is like Java developers say, okay, is Java dead? And what kind of other standard is going to be newly developed. So that's why a few companies, including IBM, came together to establish this MicroProfile back in 2016. And now it's kind of 2024. We are working towards MicroProfile 7. So I'm going to talk to you about the whole, basically, the umbrella of MicroProfile. So here we call it a platform release. So every time when we talk about release, we release this kind of the specifications. And also MicroProfile has great kind of partnership with Jakarta EE. Who are using Jakarta EE? Who are using Spring? So you should all raise your hand if you ask, are you using Jakarta? Actually, implicitly, Spring also uses Jakarta. You know, you do Spring migration. Have you had a migration from JavaX to Jakarta? If you haven't, your next job is to do that. So basically, you are using Jakarta. So it's So this is kind of the platform release. So on the right is the standalone release. So the one gray out, open tracing and context propagation. So become stable. So open tracing, because I will talk later, is being replaced by telemetry. So this is will not be in active development. Context propagation will move to Jakarta concurrency. So it's again, this is stabilized. So in this talk, I talk all these kind of the active MicroProfile specifications, including these standalone releases. So I will do a bit live coding, so you can see how it kind of works for your projects. So in the 6.1, so released last year, so we have new basically updated spec, and also we update to Jakarta EE 10. Who are using Jakarta EE 10 in your project? Okay, great, excellent. So if you basically update Spring, I think the Spring latest version is also aligned with Jakarta EE 10. So as you can see here, like MicroProfile 6 pulled in the core profile. In Jakarta EE, there's three kind of releases. Basically, it's the three type of releases: platform, web profile, and core profile. Core profile was added to Jakarta EE 10 is the first time, is because the whole reason to create a core profile is because of MicroProfile. So right now we are working on the MicroProfile 7. So MicroProfile 7 is basically we are trying to make the core profile dependency loosely coupled. No longer, basically the minimum will be 10. When the Jakarta EE 11 comes out, maybe the MicroProfile 7 could be able to work with Jakarta EE 11. And then we're going to have a new update on telemetry, open API for tolerance, and REST. So that's the plan. Okay, so now, so all the background information done. Let's go into the deep dive. So I talked about like a lot of specifications, and then it's okay. There's so many, and how do they work? I mean, what kind of problem can they solve? Let's getting started. Okay. So you want to create basically cloud-native Java applications. So basically, it can do some responses and etc. Right? So this is your use case. So it's what can MicroProfile do? Basically, this is you want to create a RESTful applications. So Jakarta REST is here to help. So Jakarta REST, basically you need two classes. One is basically application class. The other one is this is Jakarta resources. So this is similar to the Spring kind of the MVC. So it's so in MicroProfile in MicroProfile and Jakarta, MicroProfile use the Jakarta REST. So basically you have these two classes will get you endpoint. So let me quickly basically show you how it works. So I have basically this application. Can you see it okay? From the back? Yeah. So this is kind of basically hello world. As you can see, so it's so this is pretty much you see the Jakarta namespace, application path, and then it's kind of the hello world. So this is the application and this is a controller. You just like Jakarta MicroProfile is a heavily used annotation. You just use the annotation here. It's a get operation, says hello world. Actually, this is all running on Open Liberty. Who knows Open Liberty? Okay, great. So if you do not know Open Liberty, check it out. OpenLiberty.io is very fast. Now it's kind of started in dev mode. So it's running. If I just say hello JCON, I save it. And now if I go back to the browser, so basically this is hello world. So you can see hello world JCON, right? So it's very just like very easy to get started. So it's the next thing. you want to do is you want to configure your microservice. For example, I don't really want to hard code JCON. I want to just say inject hello conference, right? So it's how it will work. Basically, you want to define the variable, and automatically you supply value from somewhere. So this is comes MicroProfile config. In MicroProfile config, you can specify the config property somewhere else, database or system property, environment variable, or in the application, and etc. And then, like in the code, you can directly use the @inject config property, and then it automatically inject the value to you. So you can just change your value, the config value, without changing your application. Let's see how it works. For example, I want to inject. So anybody know Jakarta CDI? Okay, good. If you do not know Jakarta, you know Spring Boot injection, right? So @inject is the same as the @autowired. So this is like that. If I do Spring, if you do @inject, config property, if I G name, you can say conf is string. Can do this. And then inject that. And if I save that, so here it will tell me it's not assigned to any value. Actually, in here it will also give me an error message. It said I couldn't start because the conf was not defined anywhere. So I can just directly define inside this application. I can just say, okay, conf is automatically say, I will say JCON 2024. I save that, and then it's happy, it's started. Now, what I need to do is go back here. I will no longer say hello world conf. We'll say conference. Let me save that. She's happy. Let me go back, refresh. So you can see it's kind of really easy. You can just get the config straight away from there. So it's that's basically already create basically the microservice, and also you can freely configure it. And then the next thing is I want to call other services. Actually, when you create a microservices, is normally you need many, right? It's not a standalone. It's a kind of how can you connect them up. So it's one flavor to connect them is use REST, directly call into the other service, if you know which service you want to call. The other option is about messaging, which messaging I will talk about later. So let's see, okay, there's a service A and a service B, and how can I make a service A directly call into service B? So here, basically, is you think about service B, you call it, at first you need to know the interface. So in service A, you can directly create a service B's interface, and also just annotate at a register REST client, and then basically this is service B that endpoint. That's endpoint. It just says getting properties, and then in the service A REST resources, you just do @inject REST client, and then here the API, the interface, and then to assign this variable, automatically inject it to it. And you can directly do default REST client and .get properties, and we'll call to the backend. You are thinking, okay, how do I know where's the backend? And with that, you use the config. You tell the basically service A, actually this is the endpoint, this is service B's endpoint. In here, This is beauty over here. In the Kubernetes, you can specify, basically you can overwrite the MP REST /URL in Kubernetes environment. So here you feel like hard-coded, but you can easily overwrite it when you deploy in the container environment. So let's have a look at the code. So in the code, so in my application, I have service A and service B. So at first, let me show you the service B. This is pretty much hello world. I just demonstrate how this API works. So in service B, as you can see, is an ordinary kind of the REST application. Is get operation, pass parameter, and then is do something. The get operation, right? So and then service A, I want to call into service B. So in service A, first you create an interface of service B. You directly register REST client. This is service B's API. Do something. Remember that get operation, and then you can directly inject at REST client. Inject into this service, and then you can do like a service do something. Call it. And earlier I mentioned that actually you need to tell where the service be. You can directly do fully qualified class name, which is this one, the API, so service. Is a com example JCON client dot services /mp rest /url. So this is the endpoint of service B. So in this, it's already started. So it basically in my application. So here is a REST client demonstration. So this is a directly call into service B. So as you look carefully, so here hello from service B. If I change service B, basically here, just demonstrate is really call into service B. If I just say service B, if I prefix JCON, save this. This is, remember, this is service B. So here's service B. Now I go back. I refresh this. Yeah, hello from JCON. So it's really call into service B. So next one. So this is kind of how you connect with them. So next one is what does the service do? So basically, you are new to this project, and you want to find out what this service do, or you want to find out which service you can call. Obviously, you need some documentation. This is nothing new. Anybody know OpenAPI? Yeah, great. If you know OpenAPI, so you can see here is you are familiar with. So in MicroProfile is based on OpenAPI standard and also adopt Swagger, and it exposed endpoint is localhost port and / OpenAPI. In Liberty, we also has a UI. Basically, is integrated. This is Swagger UI. I believe in Quarkus also has this UI, but this UI is not in the spec. It's kind of additional kind of the feature add. So as you can see here, is without doing anything. If I go back to my application here, if I just do localhost. If I do localhost 9080 OpenAPI UI, so you can see it's all automatically kind of give you, and you could even basically try it out. You can try it out. Hello, execute. You can see you can get a response back, and then you can add some additional basically information. Let me see if. In this service A, you want to add some basically the OpenAPI basically explanation, and you can add basically this annotation: API response. What's 404 means? What's 200 means? What's this operation for? Let me save it. Now, if you go back here, if you refresh. as you can see here, you can get that basically the OpenAPI information straight away, right? So as simple as that. So this is kind of how the MicroProfile OpenAPI works. As you can see, it's pretty much like annotation based. Okay, next one. And we have not talked about any kind of the security as yet, right? However, security is a bigger concern, especially in the cloud, especially in the microservices world, and because there's all little services scattered around. If you do not basically secure them or prevent unauthorized access, and people will directly access your backend. So with that, security is very, very important. So in MicroProfile, we have a MicroProfile JWT authentication to help you to simplify how to secure some endpoint. So this is based on the JWT. Who knows the JWT or JWT? Okay, great. So you are right across. So it's with that, actually, it's very easy. In order to secure backend, you use basically Jakarta security. So the annotation rows allowed. You just say, okay, in this operation, I only allow the row admin or user to be able to access it. Apart from that, will be forbidden. So let me demonstrate to how this works. So in my application, service B, there's another endpoint is called secure. So protect is the controller. So with this, you can see this is the operation get JWT base value, and basically only allow row protected to access it. So in this case, basically on the request, you need to pass on your row. So it's how can that happen? Because this is pretty much all the rest of code. Obviously, this information needs to pass over header. So in service A, so I need to build a JWT token. So it's basically the JWT token. This is what a token like. So it's you know JWT already, right? You issuer and issue at. What does MicroProfile JWT did is to add 2 more claims. One is UPN, so this one. The other one is groups. So groups basically say, okay, you belong the super user group. So yeah, and UPN is who are you? Yeah, I'm Emily. I belong to the speakers group. So this is kind of like that. So this is kind of the JWT token. Obviously, earlier I said first you create your token. How can you create your token? Actually, you don't need to worry. There's many third-party libraries help you to create a token. Liberty also has some APIs. In this example, it uses Vertex so to create a token here. Vertex JWT auth to create a token. Also, who knows the Keycloak? Keycloak? Yeah, if you know Keycloak, you just specify another 2 claims. One is UPN, the other groups, and you are there. So here you can generate a JWT token. So as you can see here, it's very crucial. You set a group. This group I said the user are protected. So basically, I create this token, and in my request here, and target request header, so bearer header, and then I just build and get, so pass in this code token, and then get a response back. So as you can see here, if I invoke that backend. So this is the kind of JWT auth. So you can see here, the basically customer value. You are asking, how do I know actually this works? If I change the backend, I will say, I know I passed in the kind of pass in the protected. If I just say, actually, only protect can access this. Now, if I go back, see, it's basically rejected. It's because it does not belong to that group. So here, let me just directly put it back, and it will work. The other beauty is you could even to look at the token. So you can inject JSON web token. If I just token, and you can just display that token. If you just say the token, I save this one. So who has seen the JWT token before? Okay, good. So when I display it, you know this is real. Yeah, this is real. So this is all the kind of the token strings and etc. So this is kind of the real token, and then is the value and the token. Okay, so this is kind of this is basically this is all encoded. So you want if you go to jwt.io, so you can basically find out if I directly copy this bit. So if I go to jwt.io, very slow here. If I copy that in, so you can see after decoded, you remember here user protected. So you can see the token RS256. Yeah. So this is kind of the MicroProfile JWT. So next thing is kind of I want this is how to build the fault basically is tolerant applications. So this is kind of the very important when you do the cloud native application, especially the service in the cloud. You should always make sure your application can respond. You should not blame anybody else. Even if you're calling somebody else's code, you cannot blame, oh, okay, it's his fault. He has not written a good response to me. That's not acceptable. You should always have some backup plan. This MicroProfile for tolerance is here to help you. Basically, it's like there's again a lot of annotations. So it's this is last resort. You should in the Kubernetes, in the cloud environment, you should always for some crucial responses, you have a fallback. You should have a fallback operation. So what does this mean? This means if this one failed, we'll call this one instead. So this is important. Apart from fallback, MicroProfile fault tolerance has many other annotations. Retry, that goes without saying. Basically, we use this all the time. You switch on, switch off. It's a reboot. It's basically we do it all the time. And then timeout. So this is important because you should not kind of force your end user wait indefinitely. You should always think about what's required, basically a reasonable response. So timeout. And circuit breaker. So if you know like this fault tolerance is basically this kind of if it's repeatable errors, you should immediately basically return like a condition. The reality to the end user is that do not just go through and try again and eventually report error. So this is circuit breaker. And the bulkhead. So this is kind of stop the resource starvation. Stop like one operation. You basically you make your system exhaustive. So it's basically it's kind of you only allow certain amount of concurrent requests to go in. So it's so this is the bulkhead. Asynchronous means this operation will be running on another thread. So this is asynchronous. So it's also fallback I mentioned earlier. The beauty of the MicroProfile fault tolerance. So these all the kind of annotations can use it together. And also, the metrics will be automatically generated. So later I'll show you, if you go through like a retry, actually the customer will not know it, but in the backend, the metrics will be generated. Said, oh, by the way, you did a retry. And also, all this, there's for example, retry, how many times you need to do retry. This is all configurable. And you can configure externally as well. If you deploy to this application in the cloud, you can configure if it's Kubernetes based, you can configure in the Kubernetes environment in the Kubernetes map. So that's kind of the fault tolerance. Let me go back and demonstrate again. So it's in order to demonstrate this, basically, if I go back and call into this operation, so you can see, you can see this is take ages, right? Take ages to respond. For example, if this is a very, very time critical application, the maximum wait is 200 milliseconds. How can you basically make sure you achieve that goal? Basically, you must return to your customer within that 200 milliseconds. So this is the kind of fault tolerance that can help you with that. If in here, so remember here the client, so the client controller here. You can just say, basically, you can say, oh, I want a timeout, by the way. I want a timeout. If you couldn't respond in 200 milliseconds, I want a timeout. So you can see timeout 200 milliseconds. Actually, for this kind of operation, when you do the timeout, it's always best practice to make it synchronized. And if you want to make it synchronized, obviously you want to make it, you have to return a completion stage. So here, completion stage. And with that, here needs to be completable future dot completed stage. Okay. So if I save that, actually, the other thing, timeout, after timeout, I know sometimes it works, so I can do the retry, right? Can retry it. If I save this one, let's go back. So hopefully you won't see it's kind of take ages. So you remember here the 5. So you got 7. So because I fixed this situation, is because it's backend is because if it's divided by 3, the count, it will be like out of sleep. So if it's multiple 3, you will get very slow response. However, if 9, it won't be doing all over like a sleep for 3 seconds. It directly retry, give you 10. So as you can see, it's kind of your business logic. You don't need to change much. It's automatically MicroProfile automatically deal with basically fulfill that requirement for you. That's pretty much you do with your application development. So it's kind of the other thing is kind of if you want to deploy to the cloud, you also want to monitor your application, right? So when you monitor your application, you will need to use health or metrics and telemetry. So for MicroProfile health, you know is you work with Kubernetes. You know Kubernetes liveness check and readiness check and startup check, right? So MicroProfile has exposed all these endpoints for you to directly connect with Kubernetes. Match basically is with Kubernetes Lebanese probe and readiness probe and etc. So this is the whole MicroProfile health. As you can see here, like endpoint will be exposed /health /ready if the readiness check, or /health /live Lebanese check. So this is kind of the response here. If you want to know more information, go to the MicroProfile-health. So it's in MicroProfile health I mentioned earlier. So in correspond with Kubernetes, these probes, also they have this basically endpoint. So it's started and etc. So this is the corresponding annotations for you. So it's if I go back to the code again. So in the here I already create like a readiness check. You can see here I just say readiness, and then I put basically with data ready, true, up, and build. And then in my application, so in here it will be 9080. I will say health ready. So you can see here readiness check, ready is true, and etc. So this is the kind of the very, very easy for you to directly to use the basically the MicroProfile health. The next thing is about the how do you know how well your application is performing. So obviously you will, with that you want to do some more monitoring, like the times and also counted how many times have been this endpoint has been invoked. So this is all about MicroProfile metrics. So MicroProfile metrics actually expose the endpoint / metrics. It returns all sorts of different metrics. Also, you can query different scopes, like a scope, the base, and application, and even you can query some metric name. In the latest MicroProfile metrics 5.1, actually has a big influence from Micrometer community. Who knows Micrometer? Yeah, great. So in Liberty and also in small right metrics, and we have the implementation basically pulled in the Micrometer. So this is all basically this version directly have full kind of support. Like from Micrometer, is directly use Micrometer as a library to do the implementation. As you can see here, like with Micrometer, actually a lot of different like a monitor system can be plugged in. And in Liberty, basically, it's you have Autobox, you have this, and if you want to use the Dana Cache, New Relic registry, you can bring in yourself. So that's the kind of MicroProfile metrics. I quickly go back again to show the kind of the code. As you can see here, if I do metrics, you can see all sorts of different metrics. So it's and if you want to see basically scope application, you haven't got any application metrics because I haven't defined any. So now if I want to define some metrics, I can just say timed name JCON. So let me do that. So now if I basically invoke this a couple of times, now if I do, see, you can get a matrix. I define a JCON timed. Yeah? So this is a kind of really good. And if I just say, actually is a base matrix. So this is the kind of base matrix. Earlier on, this is fault tolerance timeout matrix because I had a timeout. So also tell you like how often it been timed out. So that's the kind of the that's the kind of MicroProfile metrics. Let me go back to the presentation again. So next one is about basically is telemetry. So it's, if something goes wrong, you need to figure it out, because in the microservice world, it's A equal B, B equal C, C equal D, and then for one like request. And if you are not careful and you don't know like where is the problem, so this is kind of the telemetry come into play. So it's, in telemetry, basically this is directly based on the open telemetry. Who knows the open telemetry? Yeah, that's great. We didn't create any additional API. We directly pull them in. However, like we just enable to be easily to be configured and used. So this is kind of the telemetry. So far, we only pulled in the tracing because the tracing stable first. So it's this. So for the MicroProfile telemetry, is basically the we support Java agent, so you can specify like that, or the tracing like a REST calls, you directly automatically trace, or you do the manual, so use some annotations. Yeah, so this is how trace works. You can specify the exporter and also this application or the context will pass through and automatically trace. Quickly just go back here, and I haven't done any kind of use any APIs. However, in I have a Jaeger app is automatically, you can see is automatically traced. As you can see here, you get a span like a service A and then call into service B and etc. In the code itself. So all you need to do is in this basically you specify hotel. These are all familiar to you, right? Service name here is by default is disabled, and if you want to enable it, you just need to specify the false, and then you can get a traces. So that's kind of the quick demo, and I mean for the next few slides I will go very quick. So it's, for the next thing, that's a whole about MicroProfile. So basically, it's kind of the development. And next one, you need to basically go to the Dockerize it. You config, I said earlier, so you can do a config map and directly map it to environment variable and then inject. And for MicroProfile health, this is endpoint. You can put it in the Kubernetes deployment YAML file. And also for the metrics, you can directly look from the Grafana dashboard. And for the telemetry, if you use Istio, and all the kind of required headers are propagated automatically. So it works very well with Istio. Anybody using Istio? Okay, I feel if you use MicroProfile, they are very complementary. So next one, I'll quickly go through the reactive. Who are doing reactive? Reactive? Okay. Who are using Kafka? Okay, looks like you are doing reactive, also using Kafka. So it's this is a kind of message style based. You publisher and subscriber. In MicroProfile, publisher is outgoing. Subscriber, consumer is incoming. So basically, this is almost like your topic. Basically, this is topic, and then this is published to a topic source. And then is some other beans could be a processor, both the consumer and the producer. So this is kind of, again, is purely annotation based. In the latest MicroProfile messaging 3.0, and is a kind of bridge the imperative with reactive. So previously, you can directly streaming out the messages, and here the MicroProfile messaging 3.0, there's an emitter. So you can match to a channel, you do an emitter, and then once you hit that endpoint and start sending messages. And then you can plug in like a different consumer eventually. So that's kind of the messaging. And the other thing is kind of the transactions. Who are doing microservices transactions? I know that it's really daunting, right? So people are more comfortable about two-phase commit. It being improved is very efficient and safe. But for microservices transaction, I think is one valid kind of the most adopted pattern is the Saga pattern. For the ones doing a microservice transaction, are you using Saga pattern? Who else are using Saga pattern? Nobody? Oh, okay, few. Yeah, MicroProfile LI, long-running actions. So based on the Saga pattern, because it's only kind of more realistic to achieve eventually consistency, right? There won't be a wait and handshake and commit and etc. So basically, at first you just pretend nothing happens. You pretend, aim for the success. But if something is not working, and you can have to roll back. But a rollback is not called rollback. Basically, it's undo is not a real undo. It's basically doing something opposite to get eventually consistent. So there is a controller, there's a coordinator, and oversee this and tell the microservice you need to undo and do the opposite operation. So this is kind of the full picture. As you can see here, you basically pretend that nothing happened. You do confirm. If something failed, you just do the compensation. We'll call the compensation. So this is kind of the quick for the transactions. The next thing is about GraphQL. Who knows GraphQL? Okay, quite a lot. So MicroProfile GraphQL again is basically adopt GraphQL, introduce GraphQL API, and also if you query, is have an annotation at query and a mutation. Yeah, so directly GraphQL over here to basically to overcome the overfetching and fetching issues. REST introduced. So that's like a GraphQL. I think I will have a few more minutes. Let's quickly have a look. So in here, I have a GraphQL AI, GraphQL UI. So as you can see, you can directly query this one. If I want to basically query all heroes, you can get all the heroes. And then if I do add a hero, add more heroes, add some heroes, you can just add heroes. So in the code itself, so basically if you go back here, the code, GraphQL, so show you here the model, superhero, so that's kind of superhero, and a hero finder. So here is the API, means this is very important. You must annotate with this, and then all queries. If it's the add operation, will be mutation. So really simple, like that. Okay, fast forward. Are you convinced the MicroProfile is good? Yeah? So how can you get started? We have a starter, MicroProfile, starter.microprofile.io, try it out. At the moment, we trying to basically bring it more up to date with all the latest releases. You can get this plugin in VS Code or IntelliJ. Just search MicroProfile Starter. Alternatively, OpenLiberty also has a starter, have a Jakarta EE and a MicroProfile. This is more up to date, so you can create the app. So other learning like resources, basically all my application I checked in the this one, so check it out. In Open Liberty, there's a lot of guides. Search MicroProfile, tell you exactly how to like MicroProfile config or React messaging work. Only take about half an hour to learn like a different kind of spec. Also, I published a book together with a few of my colleagues, so it's on Amazon. So if you are interested, check it out. And so it's basically we are working on the MicroProfile 7. So hopefully in the 3Q this year, and with some updated telemetry for tolerance, OpenAPI, and a REST client. And then, most importantly, currently we are having an interest group, MicroProfile AI. We are meeting like Monday, every Monday, like but not next Monday. So it's 5 p.m. CEST. Also, I have another talk after break. Is at Cinema 5 about AI for Java developers. So I will talk more about this working group as well. This is kind of the interest group as well. So with that, thank you so much. And I hope you have learned something. I know it's a break time. If anyone have questions, please come forward and we can have one-to-one discussions. Yeah, enjoy the tea break. Thank you.